some people you have a donkey or a horse. So there was this true sustainable agricultural development where the manure or the droppings from the animals and the droppings from the trees, the leaves, in many cases, or twigs were all cut up and
Used for
put back
manure.
to feed the plants. So
That
it was really true.
program, that program, Dr. DaSilva, I seem to recall paid dividends for this country, and it has opened up a wide area of engagement for people for value-added kind of products as well. And I know the urban agricultural program and the individual community agricultural activity like the one you were talking about. When you go around this country today, that is lacking. You have mentioned Wauna, Yarakita. Wauna and Yarakita was where they had the oil palm scheme and the peanut farms, much to the the work of the agricultural extension people in that area. I remember when I traveled in those years in the region, there used to be hundreds of bags of peanuts and other agricultural kind of produce coming out from in the Aruka River, coming out from Hosuroro, coming out from Wauna, coming out from the Barima and Kaituma River. There were some big farmers in those areas. Now, only recently I had cause to be in Region 1, and I saw agriculture is actually dead. People are not really doing things like before. But I want to zero in on the establishment of these big irrigation and agricultural schemes that also form part of the policy approach of Forbes Burnham in not only securing food security, but also kind of wider field. His views in relation to Guyana being able to produce for all member states of CARICOM. I want you to comment on like the Tapakuma irrigation project, MMA irrigation, Blackbush expansion, and those things.
Okay, very important point in that Forbes Burnham did not only focus on small scale agricultural production or what you call kitchen garden.
Hmm.
He focused, if there was a focus on kitchen gardens, school gardens, family farms, which is your backyard. But apart from that, there were areas where you could have gone into larger scale of agriculture production. And that is why those schemes were introduced. And in those areas, you had tremendous agricultural production of all kinds. In
That's
other
right.
words, diversification of agriculture was a
Livestock
big thing.
was a big thing.
So there was that big push. Now, your question is, when you go to some of those areas, what do you see now, and Wauna and so on, as you said? And I would even bring the story back a little closer to the village. There is some sense of deterioration, serious deterioration, and lack around the country. But I am not, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic in the sense that I've decided with a team of comrades to do something about it. We are working currently through the Community Development Council and the Ministry of Agriculture plus private farmers. In other words, I have decided with the team to take up the challenge and call in on our people to go back to the land, go back and occupy the land in the way that they used to be occupied and better. And that initiative, what I call it food and nutrition security
Hmm.
and hunger eradication in Guyana. The people are telling me, despite of the fact that when you go to the villages and you go to some of the schemes or developmental areas, you would find that the production is not the way it used to be. And let's start from the village. Sometimes you see just that lone mango tree,
Hmm.
which was about 50, 60 years old, or the lone tamarind tree, or the old guinea tree that the parents and grandparents planted. The challenge to the folks now is let us go back and plant our kitchen gardens. Then our family farms, which is the back dam, and then go to the developmental scheme areas and really and truly plant. And you know the response I'm getting? I then explain to people what food and nutrition security is all about, which is getting at least 3 servings of vegetables per day, 2 servings of fruits, and your peas and your beans and your proteins and these adequate amount of food from the various food groups. And when I say to them, if I were to challenge you to go back and do the good things that your fathers and grandfather used to do, can you do it? The answer is yes. All they need is a little bit of support. They're telling me that in 3 to 6 months, they can turn things around. I am challenging them that let us see if we can turn things around and put them back the way they used to be, at least by 2017. But there are communities that can do it in 3 months. There are some that can do it in 6, some that in 9, and so on. So the word is out there, and I hope that everyone that is listening sees the opportunity to eat local, to grow your own food, to produce your food. Because if you were to do that, then is when you can be assured of food that is nutritionally satisfying and that is medicinally good for the human body. We have to go back to the times when we see food as our medicine and our medicine as our food. Our fast food should be you go in and pick that tamarind from the tree and eat it. Pick that bora and eat it.
Papa, golden
Pick
apple.
that mango or that guava and that golden apple and eat it. You remember the days when we just used to eat the skin and all of that. You know what? The skin has as much or more nutritional and medicinal value than the
Like the
flesh,
fruit itself,
the
the
thing
flesh.
itself.
I want
So-
to touch on this question. All that we have been saying in terms of Forbes Burnham got a policy, his approach on community farm, the family farm, the wider schemes being developed in agriculture, are all the basis for that is self-reliance. He believed in self-reliance, and that in itself, he had a program. People, you would know, you were a minister, agriculture, you knew what programs need to be out there encouraging farmers. In fact, there used to be an agricultural and newspaper about farmers' activity in the various regions. I don't see those things happening now. And I like what you're saying. I hope that people are listening to this and understanding what needs to be done, because Forbes Burnham, I want you to comment on the relevance of the self-reliance program then and now.
Very good. I'm glad that you brought it up in a question. In today's world, the business of self-reliance is spoken about in terms of sustainable development. I am convinced beyond the shadow of a doubt that one of the greatest architects that ever lived and the founder of sustainable development was Forbes Burnham. Forbes Burnham, as you rightly said, he taught us to do things for ourselves, not only for now, but for the benefit of the future generation. Forbes Burnham is the one who, in those days, if you check, let's fast track, as you said, the relevance. To now, the first goal of the sustainable development is that we must be poor no more. Forbes Burnham's focus on the fact that the small man must
be a real
become
man.
the real man. That is the business of moving from poverty to divine prosperity. It was about self-reliance. Forbes Burnham, the second sustainable goal that you hear about by the United Nations is you must not be hungry. Zero hunger. You must have food and nutrition security. Forbes Burnham is the one who said, let us feed ourselves.
Feed, clothe, and house.
Feed, clothe, and house. And I'm glad you go into clothing. The clothing was also part of the agricultural industry. I guess some of you might have heard of cotton come to Kimbia. It was an agriculture crop, or one of the agriculture crop that was used to produce the materials for the
School uniforms.
and so on. And the housing he taught us how we can sustainably harvest wood from the forest
Our lumber, yes.
so that we can build homes for ourselves. Agriculture, again, it's all about sustainable agriculture. It's all about sustainable development. In that is one of the goals of climate mitigation. He knew that if we were to go there and cut down the forest, it would change the environment, and that is the essence of climate change. People chopping down the forest, and then next you know, there is erosion, there are landslides, there are all kinds of things happening. Now, I don't know if you remember, also Forbes Burnham taught us how to use the organic matter to produce biogas.
Biogas.
I had a biogas myself in 1983. So that was the essence of clean energy. The use of biogas, and then he started with the business of the hydropower and so on. Then in our village we had a wind charge. A matter of fact, today we're about to put up 2 wind charges in our village because these are the things that we used to do. And when you talk about wind farms today, people think that is something foreign. No, these are technologies, or these are policies that Forbes Burnham did introduce, and it was sweeping throughout the nation. Now, if you remember, another part of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is self-reliance, he said that we should make sure that there must be equal rights and justice. He gave, he led the cause of getting women
Involved.
and involved in the struggle. So one of the sustainable is about equality. So if you were to examine all the 17 sustainable development goals, the last one is about partnership and us working together, private sector, public sector, civil society, faith-based organization, all coming together to work for the good of a community. Those were the hallmarks of formula. Their words were simple: self-reliance, and things like that. But in today's world, it's about sustainable development. I am convinced, it's another declaration, that we in Guyana, if we were to just tweak our policies, get specific programs and projects that are sustainable in nature, led by the communities, give the people the basics that they need, I am convinced that Guyana could achieve the sustainable development goals in as fast as 3 to 4 years.
That's a great statement.
There's some communities that can do it sooner.
I want to tell our viewers that today with me in the studio is Dr. Simpson DaSilva, former Minister of Agriculture under the Forbes Burnham government, and we're looking at Forbes Burnham and agriculture. I will give you the opportunity to make your calls, make your comments, but I want to come back to a point you made where Forbes Burnham created a level playing field, where he provided training, involvement of the women, provided training for them, where they were engaged in the operation of kind of machines and so on. I remember some of the women used to drive tractor and trailer, trained at the Technical Institute to operate these vehicles. And I also recall him being, like you said, leading the way in the distribution of seeds and so on for people to plant in the yards and things like that. I like the point you're making in relation to communities being able to realize the development goals in a matter of 4 years. And I don't know, with the current state of affairs that exists, the program of which you speak, you and a team looking at this kind of possibility, trying to encourage people, is what I need to know, how is it going over to people? Are they reacting? Are they beginning to understand what this whole idea is all about?
Right. I visited at least 40 communities in Guyana. After coming back, I actually attended the Caribbean and Latin America Food and Nutrition Security Hunger Eradication Conference in Dominican Republic. And I challenged the people there that the sustainable, this business of feeding ourselves could be achieved sooner than it is being touted, which is 2030. Because there are some communities in Guyana and many other countries in the world that can do it sooner. And I did go down on the ground. I visited Indian communities, Amerindian communities, people of African descent communities, and other mixed communities. There is no community that said to me that they cannot feed themselves, be hungry no more, have food and nutrition security in more than 1 year. All of them said within 1 year they can do it.
Given the resources.
Given the resources, given the support, given the guidance, given the coaching. I then said to them, if they were to do that, they would have created a miracle in this world.
I want to say, no, that's a very interesting point you made in relation to the state giving the resources to the community, providing the support, and the support of which you speak in this instance was bringing back the extension kind of support for communities and persons involved in this program of which you speak.
Well, technically it is even simpler than that. Of course, it is not about bringing back the support. The people are there in the communities.
Okay.
They may not be working the way we used to work as extension officers, because a lot of times the people don't even know that they're there, and they're supposed to work with them very intimately. That's why I'm calling on the agricultural officers to do the work they're being paid to do. Go out there and work with the people. That's one. Two, some of the communities, all they need is some seeds and planting materials. And then there are some other communities, all they need is basic drainage and irrigation. And many people pay taxes. So if you pay taxes, you're supposed to have certain services
that's right.
rendered to the community. So they're not asking for much. They're saying, hey, do not squander the money. Do not misuse the resources. Take our resources and do what you're supposed to do. We will chip in. We'll have a private-public partnership. We'll all work together, and we'll all see prosperity being realized. All of the communities, they are ready, willing, and able to do that. And I look forward to see Guyana within 1 to 2 years being able to purposefully realize food and nutrition security, not from the standpoint that you just merely get food and you have belly fill, but the standpoint where the food is available, it must be accessible, and it must be used, because it might be on your table and you're using a whole lot of junk food instead.
Yes.
You have to be using the nutritious food for the prevention and treatment of diseases. Or, better put, you must be able to use the herbs and spices. And herbs and spices are teemed with micronutrients that the provision or the bulk food, as in rice and flour, would not have. So you have to use deliberately a blend into the protein, as in chicken and so on, your herbs and spices, which has the micronutrients, so we will not suffer from micronutrient starvation, which brings on diabetes, heart attack, and all these other metabolic diseases.
Dr. DaSilva, you have opened up the discussion this morning. I know the people out there, I'm opening the lines right now, so you can make your calls, and we will be discussing this topic in more detail. Of course, I know those of you who would like to contribute, you can call in to this program, make your comments, suggestions maybe, and because this is what we're all about. We're looking at Forbes Burnham and agriculture in Guyana today, and we feel that the program that Forbes Burnham introduced, administered in this country, were very relevant and is still very relevant. And with me, like I said, is Dr. Simpson DaSilva, and I want to ask you, Doc, apart from what you have been doing, and maybe the Ministry of Agriculture has been have started to organize to do in relation to improving our agriculture. I see where the lines are going. Morning, you're on the air.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
This
I didn't get you.
Are you listening to that gentleman talk, the former minister?
Yes.
He's on track. Guyana could never develop if they don't export. If the natural resources is there, your dollars and keep claiming all these things. You listen to Obama's speech when he talk about bringing back America. He talk about manufacturing jobs. If you're not manufacturing jobs, you're in trouble. And this is happening in Guyana. We lose a lot of places. Look, for instance, the milk plant.
I agree with you that manufacturing is a critical input for agriculture.
Right.
Mhm.
Milk plant, the
So-
factory. The tin. Imagine Guyana got the best vegetable oil in the world. And it didn't even sell any. You could imagine, no? It's shipping outside. And they ain't even selling it. Just to show how high we there. And if we don't go back to manufacturing jobs, I don't see we in trouble. Forget about no matter the island thing. Imagine the Caribbean law from Guyana. Barbados is making the whole milk with Guyana used to do. Trinidad,
And they only have a few cows.
right.
And we can have thousands upon thousands of cows in this.
Jamaica, imagine be planting, then they come back in pockets and selling it. This is the most stupidest thing I ever seen in my whole life. Imagine every carambola making in Trinidad and we growing them right here.
So what you're saying that there's need for
You understand? One of the guys that own the place is a Guyanese. Some barons, something. With this pepper thing. Imagine there's a Guyanese producing in Trinidad. But the direct they be importing anything. If you importing 90 something percent of food stuff, you're in trouble.
Well, that's right. That's what Dr. DaSilva was saying. The whole question of self-sufficiency need to be emphasized, reintroduced, and the whole question of agricultural kind of manufacturing, as you rightly said, should also be part of the entire package.
Because when you do free result, even to the drinks, we got all the fruit to make drinks. We are not importing no drink. We importing drink for. And we got all the fruits.
All right.
I would like to support the brother by thanking him for reminding us that we need to get into the manufacturing or agro-processing business. And I want to say to you, brother, that you have in me an example. Currently, I manufacture at least 100 different types of value-added agricultural products. If you remember, Forbes Burnham was one of those guys who pushed the essence of Saijan, which is the moringa plant. We even had Saijan Plaza. Currently, I make a powder from the Saijan leaves. I pulverize the Saijan seed. I do at least about 7 different products from Saijan. And as you know, Saijan it prevents or treats 301 different diseases in the human system. I also do the turmeric, which is what we call dye.
Turmeric dye.
And I pulverize Karela, even the sweet potato, yam, dasheen, and blend them with vegetables and very important herbs and spices. You see, what I'm taking to the community and what we must take to the community is get them to be involved from the simplest way of agriculture production to the most sophisticated way. And I'm asking that apart from producing for our own self-consumption, we export to our families in the diaspora. Our families will support us. That's another thing. I've checked with them and they're ready and willing to support. So I agree with you. We must embrace manufacturing in a big way. And that is how one of the methods of Guyana, how we can feed the Caribbean.
And transform the sector.
And transform the sector throughout the Caribbean.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for calling.
Right,
Yes, Dr. DaSilva, I remember, I seem to recall the livestock development company. Dr. Steve Surge Bali, that was there. He used to be traveling all over this country. There was a livestock farm at Arakaka in the northwest. They also had a Burnham Agricultural Institute at Arakaka where Mr. Alton Daw, he was the principal of that school. Morning, you're on the air. Morning. Morning.
Good morning. I'm listening to your program.
Yes, sir.
And the whole issue of agriculture in Guyana is big. But our big problem is that agriculture in the school is killing agriculture in Guyana. The way we do agriculture in our schools, it's not helping agriculture. It's done as when a child do something wrong, wrong, go and read. So that's one of the problems. The second problem are students writing PhD. There is no practical exposure because practical exposure in agriculture is the thing. And in our schools, there is no farm, there is no agricultural plot, there is no chicken, and these children are doing a whole sort of thing in the SBAs and agriculture. So our main problem,
I take your point.
Agriculture education.
I take your point in terms of agricultural education should be in schools. I tend to agree with you, and I have been going around this country for the past few weeks, and I recognize that part of the proposals from schools, teachers, as well as parents is just what you were saying. The subject of agriculture need to be taught, and there should be plots for children to go and actually practice. No, June just can't write the theory. A parent even have suggested that students, when they're doing their homework, should use the things that are produced in this country to make various dishes. And if they do that, they will begin to inculcate the values of things that are produced locally from a very early age, and that will go to promote agriculture.
And secondly, the issue of agriculture in the various communities, it is not supported. I believe that in
well, you have Dr. DaSilva is working on that right now. He's going around dealing with that matter right now.
I know Dr. DaSilva well. I invited him several times to come and visit my little plot.
All right.
but the whole idea is the support of grassroots agriculture in Guyana. Because the most expensive thing we have to deal with in our life is our food. And if we eat well, we live longer.
That's right.
We have less health problems. So, and it means that we must produce our own food. Back to the Burnham philosophy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I do.
Go ahead.
I do agree with the caller in that what we need is what I term an agricultural revolution, a true agricultural revolution. And in addition to that, we need an educational revolution. Gone are the days where you should be having chalk and talk. A matter of fact, way back then, every school had an agriculture plot. A matter of fact, there's a thing called scope sequencing and coordination of education. We should have, especially now that we're talking about the green economy, every school should be a green school. There's no reason why environmental science, climate change mitigation, the physics, chemistry, biology, when being taught, everything should be taught from the farm. The school farm should be a living, live laboratory. So there's need for capacity building within the school system so that people could talk about the history of farming, should talk about the politics of agriculture, should talk about the diplomacy of agriculture. It's because of agriculture diplomacy that is why people were enslaved. And it's through agriculture diplomacy that we have to move from poverty to prosperity. So agriculture is one of those vehicles that could be used to educate our people in tremendous way. Unfortunately, we are bound with the green, but the green must speak to us through our educational or cultural and other programs. So we need some serious revolution in this country.
Morning, sir. You're on here.
Hello, sir. Good morning to you, good gentlemen.
Yes.
I have been fortunate to be sitting and listening to this program. I'm in my 50s, and what you're saying there is gospel truth.
You're pretty young.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the compliment. I am living in an area on the East Bank that you call Coverdale.
Coverdale, yes, I know that area.
It's have a vast amount of land, ancestral land for farming in all its entirety. But we are not getting the support over the years. We had a bit of infraction, when I say so, assistance, during Mr. Rao Prasad time. But from since then to now, nothing has been happening. The local authority, we are approaching them, and they are giving lame excuses. But then I have also approached the DNI, who sent engineers to examine the bulk of the land for drainage from since the beginning of the year, and nobody is paying attention to Coverdale. We have a whole long stretch of land, Dr. Charles land, the town.
At the eastern side of the road, I know the area.
Yes, and it's measuring 750 rods. We're talking over a mile in distance. Sir, I have listened to you quite carefully, and I am pleased that there is individuals who are still active in agriculture. But we don't have a body where we can go to, like how my good friend Mr. DaSilva is speaking there, to be so boisterous and intentional to develop our area.
Yeah, Dr. DaSilva is very emotional about this matter. He's very passionate on agricultural advancement in Guyana.
Yes, but I need some information to know how I can contact you guys, because I'm hearing about the community development, but I'm not hearing where it can be found. I don't know how to go about it, but I need a body to come and examine our area, because the local authority is not paying no attention. There are new executive members there. There's no interaction with Coverdale.
All right.
There's no interaction.
I can tell you there's a community development unit in the office of the president annex. That is just next to the St. George's Cathedral.
Okay,
you know, there used to be a flat building there.
Yes, sir.
In that building, you can go there and ask for Mr. Eugene Gilbert.
Okay, sir.
Ask for Mr. Eugene Gilbert and take your case to him.
Okay.
And you sung as though you have an unswerving interest in ensuring that the agricultural activity take place in your area.
Yes, because...
So you can go there and talk with him.
Okay, I am participating presently now as a one man. And I've actually completed over 4 acres with citrus and mix, you know.
Yeah, the perennial crops are important too, yes.
Yes, but the drainage, we even have a coca that was being fixed since a couple of years back, and it is of no use. Right now there's overgrowth. You're asking the village office representative to just give me spray to do self-help. We cleaned 300 something rods before. They're not assisting. So I will use your advice.
Yeah, you should go to Mr. Gilbert and take your case to him, and I'm sure he's gonna do some kind of collaboration with the local authority people, and perhaps Dr. DaSilva want to say something to you.
Yeah, just for the public knowledge, and as you have said it, I am one of the officers who work along with Mr. Gilbert. I work with the Ministry of Presidency in community development, and it is one of those functions that I execute that takes me around the country to help. So you can ask, if you don't find Mr. Gilbert, you can ask for me, or you can ask for Mr. Ainsworth. Any one of us would be able to help you. But in addition to that, there is the business of the people of African descent communities that were neglected. And there's a special task force that is doing some work now to try to execute on the resolution by the United Nations.
Yes.
And the president himself came before us, and we are working to put a plan together to make sure that everyone that was marginalized and that was treated unjustly, and the wrongs that were committed, if they were, would be righted. So there's a team, there's a core team at the national level, elected or selected by farmers. I happen to be the leader of the core team for agriculture. And we are going to be getting a lot of information to you very soon about what can we do to help. I must say to you that the president is very interested in helping everyone, and the people of African descent is among that group of individuals who must be assisted. So let us try to do whatever little we can do, and help is on the way.
Okay.
I am convinced of that. But in the meantime, wherever you are and wherever you know people are, tell them to go ahead and do something that help is along the way.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much for calling.
Okay, so one thing, just
Yes.
give him back the name of the individual.
Dr. Simpson DaSilva, or Eugene Gilbert, or Danny Ainsworth.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, those are the three people. You can ask for any one of them.
Okay.
Right, thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, Dr. DaSilva was saying in Arakaco, where there now it was a big kind of gold exploration going on there now. It was the Burnham Agricultural Institute. There, a number of students have studied agriculture there. Alton Daw was the first principal, and he served there for quite a while. But now all those things have been abandoned, taken over with Bush now. I understand where the BAI used to be is now, they have a dredge operating there. Morning on the air.
Good morning. I am very interested this morning in what you guys are saying, but there is a little detachment, and I'm very worried about this kind.
That there's a little detachment. Okay, go ahead.
And that is in the area of community development and people's knowledge, what is it, and how they in their communities can be involved. Listen, if you go to communities, somebody might know of their community leaders, but if you look around the community, you don't know who are the persons. You see not a community center, nothing happened there, and you people don't know, people don't have the sense of what is community development and how they can get involved. Those who are not working and those who are interested afterward, they can come to the committee and they listen to what the committee has to give them and how they can help the community. So that aspect has to be developed properly and sensitized, or these nice things that we are hearing are not going to get into the hands of people and get them juvenated, because lots of young people leave their communities and all by the car park, all those places. If these people are activities in the communities every day, you can see them and they're being encouraged by their leaders and they know who the leaders are and the crowd, people are going to do things. But to me, there is still too much emphasis being placed on the main city council.
All right, let me just say this.
Educate the people.
Let me just make this point to you. The local government elections, they hadn't that for so long. That the way the system ought to function, they paid no attention. The past administration paid no heed, no attention to it. And as a result of that, people, not only in Georgetown, but on the outlying areas, on the Quarantine and Essequibo and so on, people don't know what they're supposed to do. People are beginning to become attuned as to what, like Dr. DaSilva is saying, let people keep on doing, get back into your agricultural activity in your homestead, in your communities, because help is on the way to make sure that these things are advanced in various communities.
Very nice, but now, when I'm speaking to the community, I mean all around the country, right? But we need a presence right now, like tomorrow, Monday.
Yes.
Somebody must be in the community. There must be a sign up in the community. There's going to be a meeting in this area or in this community.
All right.
Villagers, and you need to work.
I agree with you.
A party. Most people don't listen to television. Get them where they are.
Okay.
What you got to do? Get the people where they are.
Simpson, you want to?
Yes, I agree with you, sister. You hit the nail on the head. I was in Mocha last week, and we met with a group of at least about 60 individuals, and there's a serious problem about basic community development education. I'm one of those who assist in training CDC officers throughout Guyana, but it is not easy. I will say to you, for example, right now, so at least there would be a 1 minute education. Some people don't understand that the NDC is a government agency that is responsible for collecting rates and taxes and working in the total development of that community. Total development means total sustainable development. However, you have the non-governmental organization, as in the Community Development Council, other civil society organizations and faith-based organizations, your responsibility is to monitor what the government is doing and to make sure they do the right thing. But in addition to that, the where things are now, civil society can function effectively and apply to funding from international and other agencies so that it can help with the total governance of a community. So that is why we need a private-public partnership. In other words, get the media, get everybody coming together, raise monies, get involved in some serious job creation, get involved in agro-processing, making radios. Back in Guyana, I remember in the village Lancaster, my brother in 1975 made his own radio. You remember we made tapir in quarantine. We need to, in our communities, get back into putting the bakeries there, put the shoemaker to work, get into all. In other words, we have to build from within. Are we buying our televisions from within the communities? Are we buying our clothes from within the community? We need to get to the point where our dollars circulate within the community. Currently, they don't even come in the community at all. So it is serious business about sustainable community development.
And we start in that. Let us wipe our tears now and get back. If we call a meeting, if 5 persons come, still 5 persons can go and bring another 5 and bring another 5. Still, get down, let people understand, and then people can start to wake up. Right now, people are sleepwalking. If you go down to the park, lots of young energies, especially men, sleepwalking, I would call it, just there. You know, and then they snap somebody purse and the police cause a crime. But the crime is in the whole aspect of development. And if you get the people to do what the people are, what the people want to do, basically, crime is going to be reduced. But then they got all the energies of every morning, they got to leave the community, they got to look around. I don't know, it's so sickening. But we got to get back, educate the people in the villages and the communities, use community centers, open spaces, call meeting, talk to them, get a view, and work little by little. People are going to be proud and working with their chest up, and we're going to get things rolling. Other than that, if the people, the ordinary people that voted, those same policemen make sure they get an ID card and they went and vote, you better believe it. Because they didn't vote to be a thief, man, still continuing, they vote to get a little job and do something. But nothing is happening for them, the low people, the low
All right.
people.
All right, thanks for calling.
You guys just think about it and get to work. No matter
All right.
how much, get to work.
All right, we run out of time, Doc, but I need to, perhaps, Forbes Burnham has, there some areas of, on this program I've had people coming in here, I discuss Forbes Burnham and foreign policy, Forbes Burnham and the non-aligned movement. Forbes Burnham, there are 2 topics that I know that have been very close to Forbes. One is education and the other one is agriculture, like you have been saying, and you have been a product of Forbes Burnham policy. You became Minister of Agriculture, and now you're working in the region, not only locally, you're providing service outside of Guyana, in the region, to advance agricultural activities. Now, you have said in this program that in another 3 years, people begin to work. If the right things are done, then we can transform the whole agricultural kind of sector in a matter of 3 years. What would it call for? I mean, this is just what you have said in terms of the feeling that you have got. What would it call for practically in terms of people out there in the community to make this happen?
For the record, I want to report what the people said precisely. The people said they can do it in 3 to 6 months. Some of them, the longest anyone said was 9 months. Given the resources, they can do it. All right. In many of the communities, it is as basic as the need for HIMAC to clear the waterways so that
the
you could
drainage
have
system.
appropriate drainage and irrigation system. That's one. Two, the people need basic planting materials so that they can get back into planting in a significant way. And then three, there's a group of individuals who need some financial assistance, the way we had the agriculture bank, so that they can borrow monies to increase their production and
Excellent. If these things are provided, that will happen. I see somebody was trying to get you. Morning on here.
Hello?
Yeah, morning.
Good morning, madam. How are you?
Yeah, morning.
Yep, I'm trying to get number for Dr. DaSilva. Dr. Silva, this is the concern, the matters Manchester. Trying to get the number to talk to you, man.
Well, you can. He can give me. He will give me the number. You give me your number, and I will call you and give him his number.
It's not here.
Huh?
Take it off here.
oh,
Culture, and I notice our time is fast running out. I will allow one more call. Morning on the air.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
I'm calling from Timiri. I have a farm in Timiri in Alliance Road,
But you got to be quick.
and we don't have no road, proper road to bring out the produce.
What is it that you
Citrus. I
plant?
have citrus farm with my parents' place. They died, and I keep
Orange and grapefruit and
yes,
tangerine and
orange,
so on.
breadfruit, coconut, tangerine, lime, everything you think on this farm. My father worked 50 years with the agriculture, and he have a well farm. But he died, and I looking after it now. But we don't have no road, proper road, where we go with the vehicle to reap and plant and clean the place. We have to park on the main road of fresh out. We have to fresh these things out. And sometimes you don't have no light, no proper drainage. No, I grew up as a child there, and they do nothing for Timiri in the dam. Then, well, we have dam. It's not a road.
Have you made any approach to the local authority people there?
No, well, local authority don't look after Timiri.
Who is it that looks after Timiri?
Nobody.
Nobody?
No,
Well, you have to go direct to the Ministry of Agriculture.
they don't have no NDC, nothing.
No, but in that case, I would suggest.
We went to the Ministry of Agriculture for do drainage, and they may come one time and do it, but the road is very important. When my parents taken sick, we used to bring them out with a wheelbarrow. Yes, we have to put a mattress in the wheelbarrow, push them out the dam.
Okay.
But now supposed to be a better time.
That's right. I mean, I understand the plight, but I think if there is no NDC dealing with the issues in relation to Timiri, I want to suggest that you should really go and engage the Ministry of Agriculture on that matter, because if you're producing citrus fruits and bringing them out where you have in large quantities, of course, you need to have roads that are good to bring your things out.
So where can go?
I would suggest that you go to the Ministry of Agriculture.
You have any name?
There is. I don't have a name, but I know an office. You can go to the permanent secretary, Mr. George Jarvis.
Okay.
The permanent secretary. He's the financial executive for the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes.
Mr. George Jarvis.
Yes.
And
thank you.
take your story to him,
Yes.
and he will advise how you can deal
Because
with your
I
matter.
got here, when we used to go to school, we used to go in the mud. Mud used to till up to we knee. And now it's supposed to be a better time. We marry, we move out, we live, we separate, but we still do farming.
All right, thanks for calling.
Thank you so much, too.
Yeah, good. Yes, my viewers, I want to give Dr. DaSilva an opportunity to make his last few remarks before we close this program.
thank you very much, brother. I would like to make a special appeal to all Guyanese to try your utmost to plant some herbs and produce some spices. Plant a plant. Then, in addition to what you'd be feeding yourself, produce some more that you can sell, be it in Guyana or outside of Guyana. Get involved in the added value industry. Get creative, get innovative, and do some awesome stuff so we can help to make Guyana food and nutrition secure, and we would be hungry no more. And let us do it in the shortest possible time. Try the 3 months, try the 6 months, 1 year or 2 years, and we will and we can do it together.
Yeah, Dr. DaSilva, thank you very much. I want to thank you for being on this program. I know it has been a very interactive program. I know it's a topic that is close to the heart of a number of Guyanese. And I want to thank our viewers. I want to thank you for having me in your living room, your bedroom, your kitchen, looking at this program. So I will be with you again the fourth Sunday of the month of October, when I bring to you again another program, The State of the Nation. Today we have been looking at Forbes, Burnham, and agriculture. And with me I had Dr. Simpson DaSilva, former Minister of Agriculture in Guyana. This is Clayton Hines saying thank you until our next program.